Hi everybody, Joshua Hanlon here from Beyond the Brick. I'm here at the Brickmania headquarters in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're going to be taking you on a quick tour of the headquarters and showing you some behind the scenes of what it takes to run Brickmania. I'm here with Dan Siskind, Commander-in-Chief of Brickmania. So Dan, you want to tell us a little bit about Brickmania?
Sure. Brickmania is a company I founded that makes custom Lego sets. So by that meaning we basically take stock Lego parts, make our own sets with them. And most people know us for our historical models, so military, historical, World War II, World War I, that kind of thing. Been doing it for about 15 years. First 10 years as a hobby, the last 5 years as a business. This is our public space. When we found this room in the building, we're like, okay, this is where we're going to have our public space. We can clean it up, do our big builds in here, and then open the doors to the public. They can come and see it. So we used to do open houses in here regularly, and lately we've just been so busy with big projects that we've stopped having public days except for big events. So we had the Art of Whirl, and then we're gonna have World War Brick coming up, and then we'll open again in the fall. Some more special events.
Sure.
So this is about a 6,000 square foot room, basically dedicated to Lego.
Yeah, it's amazing all the stuff you've got around here. And if you want to talk about real quick, all around the building or the outside of the room, kind of here is this kind of great ball contraption type build. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Yep. There's we were introduced to a guy named Adam Granger, just a recent graduate from the University of Minnesota. He is like the Connects guru. I don't know that much about Connects, but when I was introduced to him, I was through a mutual friend. I was shown his YouTube channel and said, "You got to check this out." And I did. And I was amazed. This guy makes the most awesome contraptions. We were able to finally connect with each other and talked about getting some sort of ball creation in our space. Ended up just hiring him. It was the easiest thing to do. He said, "Well, just instead of like paying you on commission, we'll just put you on the payroll and take as long as it takes." So Austin's here. He does a lot of other useful things for Brickmania, and then works on this awesome ball contraption. So we just got it completed, the loop around the room. As far as we know, this is the biggest kinetic ball machine made out of Connects in the world. A lot of the other things that are in here, like the big bridge that's over our head, it's a completely freestanding bridge made out of Connects. There's a couple of custom parts that he had to build just for safety's sake. Otherwise, it's stock Connects.
Wow. Yeah, this is incredible. This thing stretches for, I don't know, do you have any idea how many total feet of, the thing is?
Well, 2, 4, 6. That's about 200 feet.
Okay.
All the way around. That ball has to travel about 200 feet to get all the way around. There's 2 loops now. One loop goes completely around, and one's just a reverse loop. So there's 2 different tracks the ball can take to get around the contraption. There'll be lots more when this is all done.
Okay. Very cool. So we'll keep moving down this direction if you want. Let's see, you've got these are some of your older dioramas here, right? So
against this wall here, these are some older builds that we have. We've kept them around just for sampling of stuff that we've done in the past. This is a Vietnam War diorama that we set up about 3 years ago. It's traveled around the country pretty extensively. We've retired the theme. We don't really offer these models for sale, so but we wanted to keep it as historical value, I guess.
Okay, very nice. And some of these builds here will have these dioramas. We'll have kind of more in-depth videos. If you look in the description of this video, I'm sure we'll put links to them, and so you can check those out. We'll go a little more in depth in those separate videos. And then this one here is the Battle of the Bulge.
This is one part of the Battle of the Bulge diorama that was set up last year at Cantigny Park for the NILTC's holiday show. So the NILTC does their big show, train show, at Cantigny Park in the Interpretive Center. And 100 yards down the road, we had a display of the Battle of the Bulge in Lego at the 1st Division Museum. So this is just a piece of it, a much, much, much larger display. This is all that's left.
Okay. Very nice. So yeah, look for some more in-depth videos there that we'll be posting about those. And then another definitely in-depth video that we'll be making, but we can show this real quick on the tour, is this massive build here. What is this build?
This is the USS Missouri. So it's, as far as I know, it's the largest ship built out of Lego anywhere. Basically, this year is it's the coming up to the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II, and the USS Missouri is where the surrender document basically ended the war.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, definitely look for another in-depth video with that one as well. And this is a smaller version of that ship?
Yeah, this is the USS Missouri. This is my original model. I built this about 10 years ago.
Okay, so this has been around for a while.
It hasn't really traveled that much because it's kind of unwieldy to travel with. So it's my first one, and this was my warm-up to build the full-size one. So I lived in an apartment at the time, and this was a little bit more scaled to what I had a space.
This one back here isn't a really apartment type build.
No, it'd be very difficult.
And then if you want to talk about, there were some cool glass cases down here you had with just kind of some of the stuff you've collected over the years, some different cool badges and builds and things. If you can talk about some of those.
Sure. Well, these are trophy cases. So basically we're, with people coming and going, they don't know much about Brickmania, so I try to set up a little display of some of the things that Brickmania has done, some things I've done, and then some of our friends. So, of course, there's up on top shelf. There's trophies of various mock awards that I've won at different shows, and I guess myself and then the team at Brickmania has done. We have. This is our mini display. Basically, our Brick Fair. They do the mini build of Brick Fair each year.
The mini con type thing.
Yep. So that was our display in there for the first time they did it. There's just some various models in here. Some of my badges of shows I've been to. The next shelf here is the Brickmania track links. It's our own system of tracks, and to get it launched, we did a Kickstarter campaign. Okay. So all the stuff on this shelf are basically the models there were only offered during the Kickstarter. If you didn't get in on it, you couldn't order them. We don't sell any of those as kits. Track links are out. We have two different sizes now. There's a single wide, double wide. It's just basically tank tracks for Lego. Coming up this weekend, we have a third size coming out, an in-between size. So there's a new product even. So it's something we're still developing. They're all, they're made in Chicago actually. So the guy who's our mold maker is coming up this weekend to deliver the new stuff. So it'll be cool.
Yeah. And then you've got some actual kind of builds here as well on the bottom. Yeah,
the bottom is another piece of our Battle of the Bulge display. One of the few buildings we decided to keep. It was actually, the building was built by Yitzi Kasowitz, another builder here. Basically the other professional builder we have on staff. And then there's some World War I models above it. Gone through, we do historical models, so over the years we've kind of collected quite a bit of stuff. And of course in the middle shelf is just sort of they're the sort of other third-party aftermarket, some of the things I collect or just really interested in. So we have a shelf of all sorts of rare brick arms, some of the old brick arms figures, and just trying to collect, basically keep a sample of like some of the stuff we've done for World War Brick, some of our friends, places I've been to, traveled to. So we have Guy Himber. I don't have much of his stuff in here yet. It's sort of sitting on my desk waiting to go in here. And then Citizen Brick stuff, J Bricks, which is Yitzi's. He does like a Jewish themed building series, like kits. So he's a professional builder here, and it's kind of sort of his hobby job is to basically do what Brickmania does, but he does it specifically for the Hebrew market, I guess.
Yeah, very cool. And so you've got, this is kind of all set up more specifically for, like the public to come in and see all these rare brick arms and old kits.
Yeah, nobody would see this stuff because it's always just been kind of stashed away in cupboards and boxes. I was like, well, let's get it out so people can see it.
Sure.
So there's actually my Lego set.
Okay.
This is one of the first Brickmania kits. I built a blacksmith shop. That's how I got started. And when I retired the set, Lego called me up and offered to reissue it. I was like, of course. So these are some of the older sets. That's one of my older original Sherman kits from like 2003. Somebody bought two of them back in the day and then came to me at a show and said, hey, I still have one of them sealed. Do you want to trade it for a new set? So definitely took him up on that offer.
Yeah. One of the older. How long have you been designing these type kits?
I've been doing my own sets for 15 years, but almost maybe even more. So 16 years. So the blacksmith shop came out 2000, and then Lego licensed it in 2002. I think that's when they finally got it out. It took them a while.
Yeah.
I think it took them not very long to actually make the set, but it took them like a year for their lawyers to come up with a contract. They'd never done anything like that before. So.
Okay. And then this one over here, is this just a lot of the other kits you've designed over the years?
This is like a little sampling of basically Brickmania kits. It's kind of like throughout the ages, but there's not any of the oldest stuff. There's some stuff in there. It's probably 7-8 years old, but I'm almost embarrassed of the original stuff. we've come a long way. The parts selection's come a long way. My building ability's come a long way, and the standards. Everybody's sort of, you put out something, you put an idea out there, people copy it, and then they add on to it, and it kind of goes back and forth. So everybody's standards have been raised. So I look at my old stuff and go, well, that was before we developed these new techniques.
It's like a timeline almost. You can look at your older stuff and see how you've progressed over the years.
Yeah. So I don't put everything out. I just put a little sample out. The bottom here is part of our Black Hawk Down display. Another big diorama that we had set up last year, World War Brick. It actually never really went on the road as a whole diorama. We took a piece of it to World War Brick Anaheim. But it was just too big to travel with, too big and unwieldy. So we kept the main components, scaled it down to fit in the display case, which is cool. We got the helicopters running and stuff.
Yeah, and the lighting on that is really cool, too. Yep. So you really tried to add a lot of lighting into that.
Yeah, Rob from Brick Stuff came up with these special effects just for us. He's like, we need to get a random gun effect. And it was really cool. So we gave him an idea of what we wanted, and he came back with it. Now he actually sells it as a product. So it was kind of a mutually beneficial thing. So
sure.
He did some product development. We did we tested it for him.
Mm-hmm. So very nice. Well, I think we can head back this way then, and kind of maybe go to some of the back offices area where you guys keep some of the pieces you do and some of the kits where you design them, store them to ship them out and everything.
On our way, let's look at this mosaic.
Oh, definitely, yeah. This mosaic is very cool here.
So I could talk about this. This is at World War Brick. The last couple of years, we've done big group builds, try to keep people occupied. Come to our event. Let's put them to work. So the last year we did this one. This is because we were in the middle of a Battle of the Bulge theme, so we made the Battle of the Bulge mosaic. This is a kind of an iconic, picture of the tank is called Cobra King. It's pretty famous. First in Bastogne. So when Patton's relief army came to Bastogne in I guess to break the siege of the 101st Airborne, this was the first tank in. We wanted to just memorialize it as a mosaic. So this is our second big mosaic. The other one is at the store, which you guys have seen.
But that's the Iwo Jima one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
And then we've stopped doing these. We're stopped doing these big wall size ones. We're starting to do portraits. So this year we'll do at World War Brick. We'll do 3 portraits, and eventually we'll have a whole collection of them.
Oh yeah, that'll be awesome. You can kind of display those then when they're done. But yeah, these kind of wall size are really cool.
Yeah.
the way they.
Well, we have lots of big areas in this space. It would look really cool to fill them up. So
definitely. So coming through the door
go
here?
past into the secret realm of Brickmania. So basically, you've seen the public side. Now here's the part where most people haven't seen. So this room here we're walking in is basically our production room. We do Brickmania. Started out on my kitchen table, me counting out 10 sets at a time, and it's evolved into an operation with about 15 regular workers here, and we're still hand counting sets. We have three people that work in the production part of it, counting out the sets, but there's a whole lot more goes into it. So we have to buy the parts. I mean, basically we don't get anything from Lego. We have to go buy on Bricklink or wherever we can get stuff. And so this is our parts wall.
Okay.
When we have excess, it goes on the wall because we pull the inventory from here when we're making all of our sets. So these guys are putting stuff away, basically this week's excess bricks that we put away.
Yeah, get that all sorted out before the event.
We have to we make all our kits all of our kits are made in batches of 50. And so every week we're making 50 of this, 50 of that, and then we have to order the parts we don't have, and the leftovers get put away. So guys in the back are sorting. So it's a constant battle. We're making displays. When we take old displays apart, we have to sort it out so we can actually start building again. So.
Sure. And then along here, is this where you sort some of the kits? You were saying you do it in batches of 50?
Yep. Well, see, Eric here is putting together putting together kits, so he has 50 cups out. So we have 3 stations basically where we do kits at. Any given day, there's probably 3 different kits in production, depending on how elaborate the kit is. Some of them might take several days to put together. So An 800 piece kit takes probably 3 days to count all the pieces out. So they're all hand counted. We do basically some quality checking by weighing them to make sure that they're all more or less the same weight. It's a little tough because Lego keeps coming out with variations of the parts that don't weigh the same. So it's not an exact science, and sometimes we still, mistakes happen.
You have to constantly keep it updated. Now, you've got all these pieces along the wall here. Where do you source most of those from?
Most of our buying, it's just Bricklink. Brickmania started, I was buying sets on clearance at, say, Target or Toys R Us, and then we'd have to bust them up and have all kinds of extra parts. And then Bricklink came along and really changed everything. So Brickmania has been around longer than Bricklink. So it didn't even exist when we first started, but it's kind of been a lifesaver. So we have a lot of people that we order from every week.
Yeah, so. I imagine. And you guys probably use a lot of similar parts, I would imagine.
So we're making military stuff, so obviously the earth tones are the most popular color that we're buying. I would think that we're probably, I imagine we've got to be 5 to 10% of all the business on Bricklink is because of us. So the amount of orders we're generating.
With all do you ever have trouble with a lot of these gray or dark gray, light gray, things like that parts? Is there trouble finding some of those sometimes if they're not a real popular part?
We Lego doesn't keep the same sets in production all the time, so a piece may only be available for a limited time, and we have to constantly adjust our designs to cope with Lego, the scarcity of certain parts. Yeah. And they're not doing that intentionally. They just they make 100,000 of a kit and then they're done. They move on to the next one. So we can only use that piece as long as it's available. We don't hoard them. It's a supply and demand thing. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, very nice. So this is kind of part of the area here, and then what do you got back here? Yeah.
This is our. So the production area we're just in was kind of added on. That used to be just storage, but everything used to be done in here. This is our office. This was the original room that basically. We had air conditioned when we moved into the space. That was just storage. We didn't need it air conditioned. But now the production has expanded so much that this is sort of the administrative side. So in this room is basically you've got the management team, the graphic design, and then the customer service team are in here. So we ship out of this room, build in the other room, ship out of this room, and then all these drawers are either full of inventory, like our kits that we're sending out, or else the other way going down is basically my parts collection, so I can build prototype models. So we have several parts collections in here. The parts that we use for kits, all brand new parts. The parts that we use for building the prototype models are all in here, and then we have a third one for building the big dioramas. So, and if you add on the 2 train clubs, we actually have 5 different parts collections in here.
All sorts of people have their pieces kind of around the building.
There are millions of bricks in this. This place catches on fire. It's going to burn for a long time.
A lot of melted plastic. That would not be good.
It'd probably be pooling in the hallways.
So if you kind of want to talk through some of your process then, as far as if you're designing a new kit, how do you come up with that and some of the prototypes you do?
Got a chair behind you. So this basically walking into my office. This is where I do the kit designing. So I have, as you can see, I have kind of an extensive research library. Okay. So I got called out on some of my early sets. I didn't know what a tank is. A tank. Who cares? I didn't really put much thought into my original ones. And then some people that know something about them called me out. So I had to start doing research. Yeah. And I learned my lesson that you have to do your research really well. So I've become like a very avid reader on basically history and mechanics, like the World War II tanks, that kind of thing.
Sure, especially with tanks. I mean, you've got so many tiny variations in different tank models, and a lot of people like to research that, and there's just little tiny differences that you might not notice.
Yeah, and you have to get it right, because you can't put the wrong gun on the wrong, and people will call you out, and so I have to, I have to get my research done first. So before we do a new model, I'll usually go by. If I don't have them already, I'll go find several sources, read up on it, cross-reference to make sure that they're not contradicting each other. Sometimes that happens where the technical manuals don't make sense. You have to figure out what you're looking at is the correct version. So I do a lot of research. The process of creating a kit is first decide what we're going to do, if it's appropriate for the themes we're working on, find all the specifics about that particular model, and then just start building it in bricks. So what you see around the office is a lot of like prototype models. The cases over there, these are some models that we had done for. These are actually from the Black Hawk Down diorama. But well, you know, if we need to make something, all these drawers here are full of parts. So everything I need, if I need a part, I know exactly where it is in the drawer. Each drawer is a different color. So some days this table behind us is just completely covered with open bins. If I'm working on like a big product, big build. So these are some more prototype models of kits that have just come out.
When you're thinking about new kits, is there a specific way you decide what you're going to release, or just something catches your eye, you think it'd be a cool kit, or how do you decide that?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. Okay. It's basically what's appropriate. If say we're going to do Stalingrad, it's a theme that we're working on now. What vehicles were there? So I actually went through some research materials, like a history book, and like wrote down a little note. Here's everything that was a picture of, and then we can pick and choose from there. Kind of, we try to make our product line that sort of follows what the budget of our builders. So we have some people that are really, they're kids. They can only afford a $10 or $20 item, and then we have some people that the sky's the limit. There's no upper end. So we put together a range of products based on what was there, and then what the size of the model and how elaborate it's going to be.
It's almost similar to like what Lego does with their official sets. They'll have
it's exactly the same thing. I used to make fun of them. Like, it's all marketing driven, and it's the same. We have to do the same thing. So it's kind of like I'm laughing at myself.
There's a reason they do that.
And we've learned over time that we actually have to build to our customers, not build what we want. Then hopefully they'll be able to do it. So we actually have to build to what we know proves. There's proven that will sell. So.
Okay. Very cool. And if you want to take us along the back here, what all stuff do you do with this area?
Yeah. Watch your step. Okay. Here, so. We'll go into the back room first, because we have another area back here. It's basically our photo studio, back behind all the storage. So Landon here is he's
hard at work in here.
he's our graphic designer, and he's now our photographer too. So.
Stepped into that role.
Yeah. We all wear multiple hats around here. We don't have quite enough people to be totally specialized. So Landon will spend a long time setting up one figure and taking a picture. But that one figure, though, just doing that, spending that time means that we can use that picture again and again and again, either like product shots, any kind of promotional images. Maybe sometime down the road we'll put together a book of some of the nice pictures that we've done. But it's really, we have this whole room here. Basically, we can reconfigure it depending on what we're taking a picture of, and it gets kind of filled up with storage stuff sometimes too when we need it. So that's kind of what happens in this back room. Like I said, we can reconfigure it to anything we want. Used to do T-shirt printing back here.
Okay.
But we decided we didn't want to be a T-shirt printing press.
So you have someone. You still make T-shirts though, right? So does someone else print them for you?
We do. Brickmania used to see us at shows. Every time we'd be at a show, we'd have a different T-shirt on. We had a guy, our graphic artist, who was working for us at the time. He was a T-shirt printer. That was his day job. Okay. So he had always had something new, up for Brickmania, and after a while, we got too many T-shirts. We're going to cut this out. So it's not our business, to sell T-shirts. We sell custom Lego sets. So this right here is another one of our props. It makes all these drawers here on this side are all full of more props that we've built, things of old dioramas that we've kept. So this is basically a photo prop. You could set your tank in here. You get a nice backdrop.
Yeah.
So we're going to build several more of this type of display. I built this for a photo shoot like 7 years ago, and we haven't taken it apart yet because it works so well. We can reconfigure. It's all modular.
I think I remember seeing this at was it the first World War Brick event? I think you had this, and maybe a few. Okay, I remember seeing some of those there.
Yeah,
that all set up.
Fill it up with tanks and guys and stuff. Cool. So, yeah, all these drawers basically are full of. This side is all full of photographic props. As we go this way, we get into all of our kits. So, here I'll actually show you here. Okay. I don't know if they. Conrad, open this for you. You want to see some of the? There's more. We have models everywhere. So this is some older prototype stuff that hasn't been demolished yet, but we don't have room to display it for the public. And whenever we set up a new diorama, we need to get vehicles. So there's bins of vehicles all over the building. And this is just kind of like a ready. If we need a prop, we'll come in here and grab it.
Okay. Yeah, that works well. You've got these all set to go whenever you need something.
Yeah, and a lot of times if we're doing a product line, we'll do, like, say we did Battle of the Bulge last year. I did every vehicle that was in the battle, but I didn't release them all as kits. So we had, if we needed a go-to piece, we actually already had them built for displays or potential kit, I guess. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on, never even makes it to the kit. It's just not good enough, or it doesn't fit into like the price point, or for some other reason we can't make it because the parts are too scarce. Something. So.
Do you try to keep a similar amount of kits out at all the same time, like retiring them and bringing in new ones? Or
well, I'd like to keep them all in stock, but it's just impossible. We don't have enough people or money. I mean, it's basically we sell out a product faster than we can make it. So right now we have probably 45 to 50 kits in production. World War Brick is coming up and the store is opening. We're going to be wiped out. We already know it's going to go from 50 to like 30 just because we can't keep up. So it's not a bad problem to have, but on the other hand, people want stuff and we can't keep up.
Limited supply, unfortunately. It's just the way it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, sorry. As you get down here, this is basically all of our. Might as well show you what's in the other cabinet too. These are we licensed decals from Roegland's Customs. He stopped doing it for a while, and we're like, hey, if you're not going to do it, we will gladly keep selling them because people have there's a demand for I guess more affordable minifigs than like a full-on printed custom minifig.
So it's not quite that you still get a custom without paying for that whole printing job on the minifig.
If you do the work yourself, you're paying like 50 cents a print, as opposed to if you buy a custom minifig, they're averaging between $15 and $20 or $30 or more for like a really nice one. You can put together a whole army of custom minifigs if you're willing to do the work yourself for pennies on the dollar, basically.
Yeah. So you guys sell some of those then through?
We do. That's one thing that we've done. This will be our third year now that we've been doing that. It's a fairly popular item. It's really popular when we do like an event and we do a demonstration. So here, you don't have to spend $30 for a figure. Here's how you do it. Show people how to strip the printing off the figures, how to apply the decal, how to seal the decal, and once it's done, most of the times it looks just as good as the printed ones. And they're just as durable as long as you're not throwing them in a sandbox or something. So that's a good entry level sort of way to get into doing custom minifigs without spending an arm and a leg. So basically down here we're kind of into the customer service area. All orders are filled in this area. So these drawers are full of our kits. Basically every kit we do is serial numbered. So there's a product number, and then they're numbered within the batch, and I have to hand sign each one.
Yeah, I noticed that as I was walking around here. You just go around, you have like signing sessions or something. You sit down.
They set them up for me and tell me, hey, you got to come and sign these. So the bigger kits come with a certificate in each one, like a certificate of authenticity. I started doing it way back in the day, and it's just sort of stuck. So. They get two signatures. I have to sign the certificates and then to sign the box on top of it. Because people used to send me the kits back and say, can you sign it? Oh. And so to prevent that, we just sign all of them at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's our product. So these drawers are full of the Brickmania kits, the Roegland's decals, and then, of course, we get it closer to the brick arms area. You start getting more minifigs, brick arms, or brick stuff lights. Then we get into this area. This is the brick arms cabinet. I should have turned the light on for you. Here, let me grab the light.
Okay. Get some light on here real quick so you can see all these cool brick arms in the cabinet here.
We don't stock the full selection of brick arms. Basically, there's just so many brick arms. Yeah. My guys were like, we need to have it so we don't have to walk all over the office every time we get an order. So we've cut our selection down to just the most popular items, and then we do selected brick arms. Because he has such a huge back catalog. We'll do them like for selected packs or themes. We'll bring back other weapons that we need them. So we're one of the three big U.S. authorized brick arms resellers. There's GI Brick and Toy Whiz are the other two.
Okay. And you guys kind of work with them to include not just sit by themselves, but also kind of in the kits and things as well.
Yeah. Will's been he's been really generous about when I first started bringing Brickmania back, he was just getting started with brick arms, and he was really generous about helping me getting started, and he's always been providing sort of hard to get or rare brick arms parts that we can put into the Brickmania kits, and it's kind of a partnership that's been going for a number of years now. So, so coming up, this weekend we're going to be releasing a bunch of new brick arms at World War Brick.
Okay.
It's one of the kind of the cool things we get to do. Will's going to be here, and that's just people kind of go gaga for Will, especially when he has new products. So we'll have some new stuff coming out. We have a lot of fun with it, and he gives us stuff for kits. So this year's event kit that we're doing, we've always done an event kit for World War Brick, but he's providing some rare prototype parts for each kit, so that makes it more unique. Citizen Brick actually contributed some printed parts too, so it's pretty cool. People are really getting behind this thing.
Okay, yeah, I saw those photos of that kit. It looked really awesome.
Yeah. We had the same kit in World War Brick Anaheim, different color, and people loved it. They all put them together, so there was like 200 of these vehicles floating around, and hopefully everybody went home with theirs and not like extras.
Yeah.
Oh, that's mine sitting on the table. You can't tell them apart. So.
Very nice. And then this is kind of more offices kind of area over here.
This is our break room. We've been working on this bar area. So every year we've been adding to it. So the first year we were here, this was empty. Second year we had the bar built. Third year we had the stools made, and we just got plumbing into the break room. 2 weeks ago, so it's pretty new. So it's kind of cool. During World War Brick, we're going to have, this is our peanut butter bar. So we're going to have all the free peanut butter and jelly sandwiches you can eat for the weekend pass holders. So yeah, it's kind of quiet in here. This is middle of the week. Basically, we're at the lull before the storm. So Wednesday is kind of a slow day for orders because new release day is Thursday. So everybody's all of our regular customers are trained, so they're not going to be ordering. They'll probably be ordering tonight, so or in anticipation of the new releases coming out. So
is that every Thursday you try to release a product?
Every Thursday Thursday we have a new release, and Monday is our weekly specials. So we kind of have a overlapping cycle of new releases, and then on Thursday, and then new weekly specials are announced on Sundays.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. So you keep new stuff coming out, keep people interested in things like that.
Sometimes we have to slow down because we have too many new releases. The goal is to have at least one new kit a week, and we need to. I mean, that's 50 a year, and we need to have that because basically it's like that whole thing with parts supply and demand. We have to retire kits, and at the pace that we sell them, we have to bring a new one out every week just to fill the holes in our inventory.
Yeah. Now, do you design every single one of these kits? Do you have people help you with that, or how does that work?
So far, I've designed all the bigger kits. There was one that we had. It was that Ross Scott Rum Runner on Flickr. He designed one. Yitzi, one of our other builders, he's done some mini kits. So we've taken some little elements of his dioramas and are making them into a little like a workshop theme. But yeah, otherwise it's pretty much been me. So I think Brickmania's done about 300 different sets, and I've designed all of them except about 5. So
yeah, that's amazing. So you've been coming up with all those designs and everything. Sure. Then
yeah, I mean it's a lot of there's a lot of repeats though. So there's like how many Sherman tanks every year we have to put out a different Sherman tank, different Jeep, because we can't get certain parts, so we have to redesign it, make it better, make it different. So.
And what do you have coming in the futures? I think you said the Stalingrad stuff. Is that coming on right now? You're kind of coming up with some of that?
Our theme for right now is basically Stalingrad. It's kind of like a early to mid-war Eastern Front. We didn't do anything Russian for the last couple of years, and people have just been like begging for it. So like, oh, finally we'll fit it in the theme. So we made a bunch of new Russian minifigures. So we do a lot of custom figures. Right now we've done the Russian thing. We just coming up on the horizon. We'll be going back to the Pacific. So we have Japanese figures coming out. We have some really unique stuff that's sort of coming in the pipeline. And Brick Arms is really going out of their way to help us with our new theme. So by the time this comes out, it'll be old news. But we'll have some new stuff coming out that'll support the Japanese line. And I don't know. I guess you guys will have to wait and see what else.
Keep an eye out for that. I'm sure you'll see those over the next week or two here. So some really cool new stuff coming out there. So then let's see. We're coming up on. When does World War Brick start here?
Well, World War Brick, the Minneapolis World War Brick is our annual one. and it's next weekend, so we're 2 days away. So in like less than 48 hours, we will be inundated with like the hardcore of the hardcore. So people travel from all over. I don't know what I think the furthest we've had people come from is New Zealand.
Wow.
But yeah, our space here is obviously limited, so we have a cap at 200 people that we do for the weekend pass, and then the public will probably be another 2,000 people. Of course, they just come and go, so we don't have to have so much space for them.
So I guess we'll kind of move along here, show some more of the building here. If you want to talk about this area here, you've got a few displays set up and things.
Well, basically, Brickmania, we call it Brickmania Toy Works. We periodically open to the public. We have all kinds of displays. Right now, we're sort of in between. We're getting ready for World War Brick. We had an event here a month ago called Art a Whirl, where it's a whole neighborhood-wide art crawl. So we had artists in here, and then we had a benefit bar. We had all kinds of, it was basically a big to-do, big party in here for a whole weekend. So we have displays. We're getting ready for World War Brick. So on the table here is going to be the Brick Wars. It's a zombie apocalypse. The Mega Bloks virus outbreak.
Very theme appropriate.
Yeah, we didn't come up with that. These guys that were at World War Brick in Anaheim created that whole concept, but we're kind of running with it. So it's a fun little activity we get to do, and it's going back to the classic AFOL Brick Wars theme. So it hasn't been done enough lately.
Very cool. So that's kind of this. You got what's this in this display case over here then?
Sure. Well, Brickmania, most people know Brickmania for our military creations, and some of the people that work at Brickmania are veterans. Jim happens to be, he's executive director. He happens to be a Gulf War veteran. So what you see in this display case are some of his medals and just trinkets that he got while he was there over in Iraq. And then we have below, we put some of our Desert Storm related models that we just had laying around. Figured it would be a cool little tie-in.
Yeah, almost like a tribute type thing to some of that there. Very nice. So then this direction here, you've got a couple of kind of Lego club setups in here.
That's right. We have we call this the train room. So Brickmania is the host of two AFOL train clubs. Basically, we have the TCLTC, Twin Cities Lego Train Club, and the GMLTC, Greater Midwest Lego Train Club. Actually, the first Lego Train Club in the world, as far as I know.
Wow.
So they've been around at least 25 years now. When we got the space here, I invited them in, said, hey, you guys don't get to build or show off your stuff as much. Bring it over to Brickmania, and we'll display it for you.
Mm-hmm. So this is kind of permanent displays then for each of those clubs.
Yeah, this is both a display space and a building space. So when Brickmania is open to the public, they have to be presentable too. We're kind of it's still just getting ready for World War Brick. So it's not really as cleaned up as it would normally be for the public. But this is the only time we get to do work on it is when we don't have events going on in here. So in a couple days, this will all be transformed to all spit and polish and look nice. So.
Yeah, you might notice here that there's a few kind of dust coverings and things like that, but I'm sure once the show starts, it all gets uncovered.
Yeah, the GMLTC it's a huge train layout, and they're actually in the process of scaling down. So the old one is under the wraps here. They actually have already taken about a quarter of it apart, and they're building a new layout to fit this room better. This was designed to go to like model railroad shows and the traditional shows. Now that they have a permanent space, they're going to rebuild it so they don't have this big empty space in the middle. They're going to try to utilize this whole room a little bit better.
Okay. Now, do you ever leave the military buildings and dabble in the train stuff at all?
I was part, and I guess technically still am part of the GMLTC. They came and found me, invited me to the club about 15 years ago. I'm no longer really all that active. I just don't have time. I have so many other things going on. So, but there's a core group of about a dozen folks that work on it. And on any given day, any given week, you'll have a couple people coming in here and utilizing the space. Both clubs are kind of unique in that they actually have their own collections. So you have sort of a communal collection of all the club members. It's technically owned by one person, but everybody contributes to it. It's not like traditional clubs are. With the current model is everybody brings their own parts and just the club is only together at a show. This is different, that they are self-contained.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. So it works well for them.
Yeah.
So this is nice. So this is kind of the two club area setups
Yeah,
in
this
here.
is their collections. All the parts, all the Lego you see in here belongs to them. Brickmania just offers them the space. So,
Okay.
and then when we want to have, if we want to be open, we have a roll down door there. We can drop that down so they don't have to be open all the time.
Yeah.
So if we have a wedding or something in here, we don't have to have that room open.
Now, I got to ask, have people actually you've had a wedding in this spot before?
We've had one wedding in
Okay.
here. People were interested in a second. They kind of, we haven't heard from them in a while, but when we told them we didn't want to take our displays down, they kind of turned off on the idea. So I guess they didn't want a Lego themed wedding.